It's from my granddaughter's kite. Let's keep this between ourselves. But this is absolutely perfect. So, well, welcome back. Having been very pleased with the Ronnie boy, I mean, as a slope sawer, cracking. Now, DLG, it's that old conundrum of, yeah, I'm going to need a preset, but you get that launch just right. And then because you've got loads of down elevator because you're not using the tailplane, and then the next thing is it's thrashing around the skies. What I'd really like to try and explore is try and get a flying wing, because even Andy will agree, a lot of these flying wings appear to just have one speed. And the one nice thing what I'm really looking for is something that we can control to very slow speeds. So a bit like I used to do competitive F3K, you'd have a launch preset, you'd have a thermaling preset, and you'd have a cruise preset. So you're just altering the trailing edges to suit the performance, and that's what this project is all about. Is I am going to just make myself a small flying wing to start off with, about a meter. Let me show you what I've done already, but I am going to talk you through this one. So there's my ribs, and I've done the build template. Let me quickly show you this, because this was a little bit more of a challenge because the Ronnie boy was a smaller wingspan. This is a bigger wingspan, and I had to learn in CorelDRAW how to join bits and pieces together. It's a bit Heath Robinson, but bear with me. Right, so this is my build template. You can see all the little holes here. These are my notches for lining it up. And so I think really yes, not a lot to it. There's what, 15 ribs either side, some sheeting and a spar. Let's crack on. Right, so there's my first 3 ribs. Well, in fact, let me just stick number 4 in as well. I mean, these templates are brilliant from Wing Helper. Now, this is the path of the spar. So at the moment, when I put the spar in, I've got a little bit of tweaking to do, because that's not going. Obviously this doesn't cut on a, well, my laser doesn't cut on a bevel at the moment, so I'm just going to have to ease that, which actually is not going to be that difficult. We just need the appropriate round file. Let's have a little look. Yeah. And then all I'm going to do is, I think what I'd be tempted to do is just do this like this. Look, all I need to do is just do that a couple of times, and then that's going to go through there. Yeah, that's going to work quite nicely actually. Look, that's only a couple of wiggles. So I'll tell you what I think I'm going to have to do. I think what I'm really going to need to do is just slowly work along this, easing these, and then when I've got the whole lot done, so it's dead easy. Just got to put it in there and give it what, 3-4 twists. Put that in there, and then all I've got to do is, if I keep number 1 in place, and then just slide these all up here. Yep, I know that's going to work. So a little bit time consuming, but I think that's going to be the right way to go. So I go R2, then we go R3 like so. Little thing I am doing is I'm actually weighing everything as I go through. It's quite an interesting project actually. So my spar, my 5mm diameter spar is 5 5 grams. And a complete set of ribs, 1 to 15, is currently 10 grams. So that's an interesting project as we go along, adding the weight and see where I can lose some, but not losing strength. Oh, I've got to remember is we've got the smaller spar as well. Right, anyway, let's put this all together. Right, let's see how we get on with adding this. Right, it's going. This is very stressful, but it is going. Right, let me just. Don't rush, Nick. Don't rush. I think, I'll be honest with you, most of this tightness is coming from that rib too. I wished I'd had a bit more guts and right. Stand by. So there we go. Can we spot the obvious mistake? How annoying is that? Right, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not pulling that out of there, said the actress to the bishop. I am going to find myself a plug which goes down about that far, because we're only going to be adding that bit. And so I'm going to find myself a carbon insert to bodge this tip. I've just put the weight up, haven't I? I asked Dandy for 500mm, 5mm diameter carbon rod, which he sent me, and it's my fault because the wingspan of this is 570. Oh, right, there's my fix. I have some tubing which fits in there beautifully. I've gone, blimey, what sort of distance? About 50 centimetres, 50 millimetres, come on Nick. Yeah, it's actually 40 millimetres in there to there. And now I'm just going to feed this bit into here. And then we can all say well saved, Nick. There you go. Right, nobody's gonna know. Look at that, actually. Oh, so obviously I put that in there deliberately because that's going to strengthen it for discus launching. Right, let's just make sure that everything is nicely lined up. Check everything's sitting down square. So the only thing we need to do now is feed this bad boy in, and what I'd really like to do is I'm going to feed this in, and then I'm going to have to take it back out again, because what I want to try and do is joint it to the actual spar. When I say joint it, it's just, I mean, I want a nice, if I can, I'll cut myself some sort of like this. So what I'm gonna do, so forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Right, here's the story. I had in my head the right carbon for the leading edges. When I got it out, way too thick and I can't get the curve on it. So it's Andy Whitehead's fault, because he mentioned about kites. So I have this carbon rod, which is perfect. It's from my granddaughter's kite. Let's keep this between ourselves, but this is absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to smash this down on the leading edge. Let me show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this on here like so, and then just go all the way round. In fact, what I have found is I've used a pin there, and the pin there will help just to hold it in place. It's like having a third hand. So let's get this joined on, and then I can sleep at night. Grandad, where's our kite? Right, I think that. Right, there you go, look. That pin there is just going to hold that in place for me while I get everything jigged up, ready. Whew. So basically what I've done is I have put these metal blocks in place to hold everything, literally resting everything against it. What I'm doing is I'm just tacking it with the thin sino, oh excuse me, thin sino, and then I will, when it's all grabbed and I can take the wing off, I will actually add medium sino, but I just want to get this tacked in place first. Well, that leading edge, thanks to my darling grandchildren, has gone absolutely brilliantly. Let me quickly show you. I'm really pleased with that. Right, now the next thing we've got to do is think about the rear spar. So ribs 1, 2 and 3 are sheeted, and if I show you these here, that's right here, here and here, very thin at the back, because obviously Wing Helper has calculated that we're going to have the 1.5mm sheeting. So I've got to factor that into that spar there. So I've got to have basically 3mm, so 1.5 above, 1.5 below, and include this. So the spar is going to be quite small just here, these three. And then I've got the depth of the spar all the way along here to rib 15. So I'm now going to, I don't want to go light on the spar. I think I'm going to do quite a big thickish spar, so what I'm going to need to do is get the taper right, or glue it in place and then plane it down to the correct size. Might be the way to go, but I think being as this is going to be a DLG, we want to try and prevent as much torsion as possible. I think that's the correct word we're using. You know, twisting effects when we're launching, because then we might end up getting a little bit of control flutter. So I'm just going to look round at my balsa stock to see what I've got. In fact, what I might even do is I might even just do a couple of different strips and laminate it together, or go the whole hog and see if I've got a little bit of hardwood kicking around. So I'm just going to have a brevet around, and I'll get straight back to you with a plan. Solution fixed for the rear spar. If you remember the I always keep stuff like this. This is thick enough, deep enough. So what I've done is I've just cut one there to shape, and I am just going to glue that on, and then if I need to do any planing I will do, but we're pretty close with this one. So as I did with the previous template, I'm just going to chock it from underneath, because remember, if the last one I was saying if we could just chock it underneath we'd get the right heights. So that's all I'm going to do. So I'm just going to get this prepared, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it, and then I'll weigh this, and then it'd be interesting to weigh the other one to see the difference. But I'm going to weigh this, keep a note of this one, and then as I get ready to get this to stick together, I'll get back to you. But what I am going to do is I'm going to cut another one now, so I know that they're identical. Right, so let me show you how I've come up with this. I've got this 3mm depth rung, which is just sitting underneath. The pin at the moment is just to hold the depron in place to stop it spinning about. I'm going to use wood glue, and the idea is I am going to just paint all of these, and then what I'm going to do is I'm then going to pinch it up against these, and then put the pins in behind the depron, and then push it up, make sure that it's all square, and then go from there. Now you'll notice at the moment I am just making this up as we go along, because obviously there are no instructions. All these things at the moment are fluid. I have thought about just whacking some medium cyano into all of them, but because this is balsa to balsa, I quite like the idea of having a glue which is easily sandable, like this PVA glue is. Now, tell you what we're going to do. So, I've got that marked, but that's the bottom. So, what we're going to do is I've given myself plenty here. So I'm just going to check this. If my head gets in the way, don't worry, that doesn't mean the sun's come out. So what I intend to do is push that up there like that, push that one in there like that, and then just carry along this process like that. So pushing it on, and just using the force of the pins at the moment just to keep it in place. I'm going to put some cheeky extra ones in. Wow, well, I have to say that has gone remarkably well. Now what I am going to do, I might just actually, I've got the pins and I know how to use them. I might just stick these all. The important one is to make sure that this here is sat, the ribs are sat square in these first three, because obviously you've got the sheeting to go in there. Right, I'm going to put the heater on in a minute. Saturday morning, let's see how that trailing edge has got on. It will be. Now what I am going to do is I need to keep these parts. I know it sounds a bit corny because it's only offcuts of Depron. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to keep everything that I use on the same wing. Gotta say, just put my fingers on the here on the trailing edge just to take the pins out, it feels very substantial. Right, okay, so I'm going to put them to one side because I want that for the second wing. Right, now then, tell you what we'll do. This build table is going to be turned round anyway, so I can afford to unpeg that, unpeg that. Right, it's moving. I'm pretty chuffed with that, I gotta say. I am pretty chuffed with that. So, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this to one side because I don't want to get too carried away, because what we got to think of head up is obviously these three are sheeted, and then obviously joining. This is going to take a little bit of, no it's not actually, that's gone really well. That's just going to take a little bit of tapering with my plane. That'll be fine, that's easy to do. And I want to literally talk about how we're going to strengthen this area. But yeah, let's build the left wing, and then I'll get back to you, and then we'll come up with the next part of the plan. Right, I have got the bottom sheeting done on, they're not tidied up yet, but both sides. It's amazing how that little bit of sheeting just begins to tighten everything up. So next thing is, let me show you what I've done. I've got those little lovely 5 gram servos from Angel Wing Designs, and what I've done is I got literally scrap bit of wood across the front like so. So that's basically representing where the sheeting's going, and I have just slid one of those bad boys up against there, so I know that that is now going to fit. So I've just come back a couple of mil, so I've got a little bit of tolerance there, so I can sit those servos nice up the front of the leading edge. So I've got those 2 servos I can put in. Now the other thing is going to be battery. Now the other thing is these, I'd like to use one of these 3.7 1000 milliamp hour batteries that I've discovered. I've been using one in the Ronnie Boy and all the flying school videos I've been doing with this. Now this weighs, let me tell you, it's 15 grams. It's not massive. So what I'm thinking of, like I did with the petrol, I'm thinking that will go across there. Let me show you. That's going to go across there like so. So obviously we want it as far forward as possible. So what I'm thinking about doing is just looking at those measurements. I think I'm going to go back to there, cut that into there, so it basically sits half and half across the wing, but then possibly build up a little channel round it for it to fit. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to join the wings, and then we can look at putting the servos and batteries in, and then we can top sheet. Sounds like a plan. No. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to put that idea to one side. I'll tell you what we have to do. It's just going to be purely easier at the moment. Let's sort this tip out before we start sheeting all of this and joining this, because it's just going to be easy to work on these in 2 pieces. There you go. Yeah, so that's going to be the next thing. Definitely, that's going to be the next thing. Is let's have a look at doing this. So I've now worked that out. Right, the tip. What I've done is I've cut this plate, and that's fitting flush inside the ribs. I'm going to do one top and bottom. They just, without any sanding, just fit top and bottom of the spar. So I'm umming and ahhing about whether I should have gone to here, but time will tell. I've got to be honest with you, I was quite impressed with how the old Ronnie boy stayed together. So at the moment, I want to keep it simple, and I'll tell you why, is that if this doesn't work out as a DLG glider, it's going to make a cracking light wind sloper. But let's not be negative, Nick. So I'm just going to put these 2 in, and obviously I've cut enough to do the other side. And I've actually taken the shape, because I found all 4. I've cut one piece and it fitted all 4. A little bit of sanding. So if I take this shape and measurements, then I can then put that in, and I can laser cut them for the future. So I'm just going to glue these in, and then I think we're going to be looking at joining these wings, you know. There we go, lovely. Look at those. Now, these were an experiment for the sheeting of the tips. I got carried away and did them, but I'm just going to use this as an experiment to see how this lines up with the actual wing. And these are my wing tips. So they came out really well. Although I went a bit over the top. I might be putting 400 of these on eBay. Right, 3 of those sandwiched together, fits nicely on the end of the tip. Let me show you. So that is going to go on there like that, and with it just fitting at the bottom, that is going to be perfect. So I'm really pleased with that. So that's worked out really well. So I'm going to sandwich 3 of those together. I'm going to glue that, just clamp them together with wood glue, and then I'm going to tidy up the wing first, and then I just need to think about what blade I'm going to use, whether I'm going to go pucker F3K blade, or I'm just going to use something similar to what we used on the Ronnie boy that's on the Pug, just as an experiment at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to clamp these together, and I'll get back to you when we're on to the next bit, because we're getting very close now. Just need to clean up, and then I'm going to talk to you about my ideas about, I think I might have mentioned already, about where we're putting the servos. At some stage I've even thought about possibly bringing the servos out mid-wing and having ailerons and an elevator in the middle. That might come on as a later project, just to see if there is a better way of trimming it when we're actually flying. But let's just get it flying first. Right, overnight gluing. My apologies, I'll talk you through this. So I've glued the wings together, and let me show you. So I've got these on, got it all clamped together like so. Let me just get these off, have a look at it, and then we're going to find out wow, that is pretty strong. Now let me just talk you through this. Nice, Nick. What I actually did was I have inserted a carbon rod along this straight bit, so there's an internal rod in there for strength. So I glued it in one side with medium sino, and then wood glued, and then put medium sino in the other side, slid it all together real quickly. Now, my reasoning behind doing it like this and not sheeting both sides and then joining it, obviously we've got a servo wire that's going to go across to the other side of the wing for the receiver, and what I didn't want to do was panic about getting the wires in while I'm actually shuffling it all together. So I think the other nice thing is, I think it does mean that I'm going to be able to sheet this straight across. So what we've got to think about now is I've got my servos, which I've just been jiggling about with. So the servos are going to go in here like so, right at the front, which is brilliant. And I've made a little battery box that's just literally sheeted, to put some sheeting material on the sides. That's going to sit in there like so. And then I've got enough height that's not going to touch the sheeting. So the idea is that I want to have the battery, although this is a LiPo, I want to have the battery removable. So what I'm planning to do is have a small hatch this side, and then I'm going to put a little hatch this side for the receiver to go in. So I've got to be honest with you, I've not even looked at it yet. Right, let me just give you some ideas about what I'm doing with the sheeting, bearing in mind I know already I'm going to have to add weight to the nose. It's a flying wing. So what I want to do now is make it easy access at the moment, and I also want the fact that this is a LiPo battery. I want to be able to remove it to charge it. So let me just show you what I've done, just a quick update. So I've got my center panel, I haven't moved that. Now what I have done is, just for the center panels, I have slid the servos in where they're going to go, and I have marked where I want the the holes for the servo arms to come out. And then what I've done is that I made myself a central plate across the nose. So what I've done is, let me take that out for a moment. That's going on there like that to cover the battery, and going over there, which I think might end up being a hatch anyway. And then this is going to go on there like so. So that's these outer ones are going to get glued permanently on once I've got the servos installed. And so they're going in there like that. And then, so that's how it's going to look finally finished, like so. This is all going to get wood glued, and then I've got to decide. I am considering, just for as a prototype, actually hinging this and then just rolling it round the front with tape to start off with. But let's do what I'm going to do is I'll glue this, I'll put the servos in, glue the sheets in, and then when I'm happy, what I'm going to do is I'll obviously do this triangular bit at the bottom as well. Just do those, what I'm just going to do now, and then I can decide what I'm going to do about this front hatch. What I might do is, if we obviously I've got this box here that we can put the weight in. Once I've got that done, I might actually just glue that front bit down and just have this smaller sheet here just as a flip up for the battery. The other thing I've got to consider is a hatch for the receiver, and just deciding which side I'm going to put the receiver. Righto! Well, a fun packed afternoon. I've taken my time with the sheeting. It just needs a little bit of tidying up, but let me just talk you through where we're at now. I have the I've just taped the elevons on. Now that's glued, this at the moment is just a hatch, there's my LiPo, and in here is the receiver. Now, as is at the moment, it's 105 grams. I'm well chuffed for that. That's right, that's 1.6, just over a metre. Slight issue with the wing helper we need to speak about at a different time, but not at the moment. I just want to enjoy it. I'm going to gloat in this at the moment. So now what we've got to do is get the CG checker from Angel Wing Designs, and I have done some preliminary calculations using the Flying Wings CFG Ujar on the Tinternet, and that came up with, in fact, I think if anybody knows it, there's like a beginner's one, and then there's a more advanced one, and then the advanced one had got this CFG at 15 mil back from the leading edge. It can't be 15 centimeters, can it? Right, so there's that, and then the advanced one, that's got the CFG down at CFG, just crikey. Well, that's exactly the same. Basically, it's sort of 2/3 of the way back, which, if that's correct, I mean, that one's got it even further back, but I'm not going that risky. So anyway, me waffling, let us get it on here and see what happens, because I'm quite excited, I'll be honest with you. Right, let's get this on here. Let's get this on here and see. That is mental. Wow. That at the moment, do you know, right, excuse the mess, I know what I'm like a mad professor when I get going. Let me just show you this. That's where that CG is. So basically that looks to be, sorry, I'm getting all excited now. That looks to be, oh come on Nick, have a word with yourself. That's 10 mil. That's 10 mil back from that spar, that rear spar. I mean, that's not going to be far off, is it? That is not going to be far off. I mean, the big problem now is, is we all address the elephant in the room. I've got to put a fin on the back and a boom on the back. So it's just a question of how far back we go. Anyway, right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a little bit more play around with the CFG. The only thing I've got to decide what I'm going to do now is I have a spare set of Andy's adjuster horns, which I think would be a good idea, but I wonder if they just look a bit too big on there. Right, I'll go off for a lay down and I'll speak to you shortly. There you go, finished. So at the moment I think I said I'm going to tape these on here at the moment. I don't mind them twisting. At the moment this is just to try and get the geometry right. At the moment the airframe with the battery and all ready to fly with the boom on was 135. Now I've had to add, as you can imagine, flying wing, I've had to add some weight. 160, it's now 168 grams total flying weight. At the moment I think I'm still slightly after the C of G. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my local field, I'm going to gently give it some bungs, and then I'm just going to tape some weight on the front, and I might end up, if I can get away with it, I think we're going to need the boom going back, but at the moment I'm not going to be discus launching. Well, I might get discus launching if I'm feeling pretty racy, but there you go. I think I'm going to call this the Aurora, named after my granddaughter. And those of you who follow me on social media will know that that carbon leading edge, and yes, it was actually carbon. Somebody said it was glass fibre, and I thought, yeah, it's a good shout, it most likely is. But actually, when I ground it, it is actually. So if you want to know, I stole the carbon rods out of my granddaughter's kite for the leading edges. So I think it's only fitting that this one is going to be called Aurora. Now, it's just a 3mm Depron boom on the back. I mean, the bottom line is, if this don't work as DLG, that is going to be cracking. If we put this, just put a smaller fin on the back, a bit like the SOAS or something like that. But look at that, I am dead chuffed for that. So, I am now going to rush to a field. I've got easterly winds, so I've got no chance of flying it from a hill, which is what I'd really like to do. But I'm just going to go out, give it some gentle chucks, just to get the C of G established, because I've got this taped on. I think I'd really like it further back, but further back means more weight adding. I mean, what I'd really like to have a go is I might even move it forward just to see how that affects it when we get into just doing gentle chucks, because if you start losing the stability, it starts to rock backwards and forwards, and that's going to be the telltale sign. So there you go, the Aurora DLG. I'll catch you soon.